Hello, friends. Around 70% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to me. Also, don't forget to press the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your interaction helps the video reach more people and supports the growth of the channel. Thank you so much. By the way, where are you watching from? Let me know your city or country in the comments. He disappeared during spring break and then came back. Story 1. This story was submitted by someone from Colorado who asked to remain anonymous. It happened during spring break 2023. And while it started like any other college trip, what happened next is something I still can't explain. And I hope no one else ever goes through what we did. The story, I'm not really into scary stuff. I don't even like horror movies. But what happened to me last year changed that. I go to CU Boulder, and during spring break, my friends and I decided to spend a few days at a rental cabin in the San Juan Mountains. We found it on a sketchy site called stayawaycabins.com. I know it already sounds dumb, but it was cheap, had decent reviews, and we were broke college kids. It was me and my best friend Logan, his girlfriend Emma, and our buddy Marcus. We got there on March 24th. The cabin was isolated, like really isolated. No neighbors, barely any phone signal, just trees and silence. At first, it was peaceful, cold, but nice. But by the second night, things started to feel wrong. We were sitting around a fire pit when Marcus said something weird. "You guys hear that?" he asked. We all stopped talking. There was this low humming sound, faint, almost like someone breathing through a vent. But we were outside. We laughed it off. Maybe wind through the trees. But Marcus didn't laugh. He kept staring toward the woods. "I saw someone," he whispered. We turned, looked into the darkness. Nothing, just shadows. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept saying someone was walking outside the cabin, circling it. We told him he was paranoid, maybe high. He hadn't even smoked anything. The next morning, he was gone. Just gone. His shoes were still inside. His jacket was on the couch. But no Marcus. We searched for hours. Screamed his name into the forest. Called the local sheriff. They showed up 5 hours later with a small search team. Dogs. Flashlights. The works. But they didn't find a single footprint. Nothing. They assumed he left in the middle of the night. We knew that wasn't true. 3 days later, we went home. No word from Marcus. His parents filed a missing persons report. News stations ran his photo. Nothing. But here's where it gets worse. Exactly 2 weeks later, I got a text. It was from Marcus. No message. Just a drop pin on Google Maps. The location? That same cabin. I was shaking. I called the cops. They traced a number. It was active, near Durango. The next morning, Marcus was found, naked, in the woods, alive. But something was wrong with him. He wouldn't speak, wouldn't make eye contact, wouldn't respond to his parents, even when they cried in front of him. Doctors said he was in shock, maybe PTSD, but I've seen trauma. This was something else. Marcus came back, different. He stares at walls for hours, won't eat unless someone reminds him. And sometimes at night, he just hums. That same low hum we heard in the woods. He's been checked by neurologists, psychiatrists, even spiritual healers. No one can explain it. The only thing he said in 6 months, he whispered it to Logan during a hospital visit. He said, "It wore my face." That was it. He hasn't said a word since. We don't know what he meant. We don't want to know. But sometimes I get nightmares. In them, I see Marcus standing outside that cabin, watching me from the trees, and he's humming. The end. Next story, 2-inch. She opened the door at 3 a.m. and saw her dead mother. This story was sent to us by a girl named Sarah Anderson from Brooklyn, New York. What she experienced one spring night in March 2022 is something she still can't explain. All she knows is she should have never opened that door. That wasn't my mom. I live alone in a small apartment in Brooklyn. My mother passed away 3 weeks ago from cancer. I was devastated. Grief was eating me alive. Every night I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting for sleep that never came. That night, I woke up around 3 a.m. The room was quiet, too quiet, just the soft ticking of the clock on my nightstand. Then I heard footsteps, bare feet, moving slowly across the wooden hallway floor. At first, I thought it was my neighbor, but then I noticed the footsteps were right outside my bedroom door. I held my breath. A shadow passed under the door. I froze, and then I made the worst decision of my life. I opened the door. Standing there was my mother. Same dress she wore the day she died. Same silver locket around her neck. Same soft eyes. But something was wrong. Her face was blank, emotionless, and her eyes were hollow. "Sarah," she whispered, "come with me?" My voice cracked. "Mom," but deep inside, I knew that wasn't her. She stepped forward, and that's when I saw her feet. They were backwards. I slammed the door and locked it, backing away until I hit the wall. My hands were shaking. Then I heard tapping on the bedroom window. I slowly pulled back the curtain. She was standing outside, staring in, 5 stories up. No ledge, just floating. Her mouth was moving, but no sound came out, just her eyes locked onto mine. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. It was exactly 3:33 a.m. When I looked back at the window, she was gone. The next day, I went straight to a church. The priest listened quietly, then said one thing that still haunts me. "That wasn't your mother. It's something else. It wears the face of those we miss the most and waits for us to open the door." I moved out 2 days later, but every year in March, at exactly 3:33 a.m., I still get one notification on my phone. Mom is calling. Story 3. He found a diary in the woods. Then people started disappearing. This story was sent by Daniel Reeves, a 26-year-old photographer from Portland, Oregon. What was supposed to be a peaceful spring weekend with his friends in the woods turned into something none of them would ever forget, and what Daniel brought back with him should have been left buried beneath the dirt. It was her diary, but he was the one writing in it. In April last year, I went on a weekend camping trip with 3 close friends, Jake, Ryan, and Marcus. We chose a forest trail near Mount Hood, Oregon. Quiet, remote, perfect for drone shots and hiking. On day 2, I woke up early and wandered off the trail with my camera. The morning fog still hung low between the trees. Everything felt untouched. That's when I saw it. Half buried under leaves and dirt was an old leather diary. It was damp, fragile, torn in places, but intact. I opened it carefully. The first page was dated April 7th, 2003. It belonged to a girl named Emily Barrett, age 9. She wrote about her walks in the forest, playing with rocks, and how she hides when the man with no face tries to talk to her. I thought it was a kid's imagination, until I got to page 7. The writing changed. It became jagged, like someone wrote it while shaking. If you found this, close it now. Do not read page 9. He sees who reads it. I stopped for a second. My gut told me to toss it, but I turned the page anyway. Page 9 had a drawing. A tall figure in the trees. No face. Long arms. Standing behind a little girl. Underneath, scribbled in red ink, "Don't read ahead. He lives in the spaces between your breaths." I shoved the diary in my backpack and headed back, a little unsettled but still brushing it off. That night around 3 a.m., we were all sitting by the fire when Ryan froze mid-sentence. "You guys hear that?" he whispered. We went quiet. Footsteps. Heavy, slow, circling the camp. Jake stood up and flashed his light around. Nothing. Then Marcus said something that made my blood run cold. "Hey, Dan, why were you walking behind my tent just now?" I hadn't moved. None of us had. Everyone got quiet. Ryan looked at me and asked, "What did you bring back with you?" The disappearances. Next morning, Ryan was gone. We thought he went to the river, maybe needed air. We waited all day. At sunset, we found his phone, right where I found the diary. No footprints, no blood, just his phone, and page 9 lying next to it. It was clean now, dry, no damage, like it had been freshly written. But this time, my name was on it. Daniel, you shouldn't have turned to page 9. What followed me home? After we packed up, Jake and Marcus didn't speak to me. They blamed me. I told them I burned the diary. But truth is, I kept it. I wanted to understand it. 2 weeks later, Marcus went missing. His door was locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry. And Jake? He died in a car crash. His phone was recovered. The last photo he took? A blurred image of someone in his backseat. Long arms. No face. Watching him. I still have the diary. It's hidden in a lockbox now, but sometimes I find pages outside my door. They're blank. Until I blink. Then they change. Today's page said, only one chapter left. And it ends with you. Story 4. We rented a cabin this spring, but someone was already inside. This story was sent by 2 college students, Sarah and Brooke, from Colorado. They rented a remote cabin to relax during spring break. But what was meant to be a peaceful trip turned into a nightmare that neither of them could explain to this day. He was already there. It was the first week of April. Spring break had just started, and my best friend Brooke and I decided to rent a cabin near Estes Park, Colorado. It was quiet, peaceful. The snow was just starting to melt, flowers blooming around the trails. A perfect break from school and city noise. The cabin we found on Airbnb looked old but cozy. With an exterior, fireplace, surrounded by forest. When we arrived, the key was exactly where the host said it would be, under a loose stone near the steps. We unpacked, made dinner, and spent the evening watching movies. But around 1 a.m., Brooke paused the movie and looked at me. Did you hear that? It was faint, but yeah, there it was. Footsteps. Upstairs. We both froze. The cabin only had 1 floor. We grabbed our phones, turned on the flashlights, and quietly checked every room. Nothing. No one. We convinced ourselves maybe it was the old wooden roof settling. But something fell off. The next night, we heard it again. But this time, it wasn't footsteps. It was a dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across the wood. It started in the hallway, slow, and moved closer to the bedroom we were in. We held our breath. Then silence. Suddenly a knock. Soft, right on the bedroom door. Not the front door. Not the back door. The inside door. We screamed. I called 911, but the signal was cutting in and out. All I could get through was someone's in our cabin. We barricaded the door with the dresser and waited. Cops took 40 minutes to arrive. They searched the cabin, but found nothing. No forced entry. Nothing stolen. But in the attic, which had no access from inside the house, just a small door outside near the roof, they found something disturbing. A pile of blankets, half-eaten food, and a notebook. In it, someone had drawn both of us, sleeping, in the clothes we wore that night. And underneath, one line was written over and over. The house was never empty. What happened after? We left that night. The police said it was likely a homeless squatter, but we locked all the doors. The attic had no internal access, no signs of break-in. And the host? She said no one had rented that cabin in over a year, but someone was living there, watching, maybe still watching. The spring break house sitting job. Last spring break, I agreed to house sit for a family friend who lived a couple hours away from my college campus. The house was in a peaceful, rural area, lots of green, quiet nights, and not many neighbors. Honestly, I thought it would be the perfect escape from the stress of exams. The job was simple: water the plants, collect the mail, feed their cat named Momo, and make sure no one broke in. I was excited about the idea of relaxing in a big house, watching Netflix, and getting paid for it. Everything was normal for the first couple of days. I even started enjoying the silence. But then, on the third night, something weird happened. It was around 11 p.m. I had just finished watching a movie in the living room when I heard a soft knock on the front door. Not a loud one, just 3 slow taps. I checked through the peephole. Nobody was there. I brushed it off. Maybe it was the wind, or an animal. But when I turned off the lights and went upstairs to sleep, I passed by the upstairs hallway window and saw something off. There was a man standing just beyond the tree line, facing the house. I froze. He didn't move. He just stood there, arms at his sides, looking straight toward the window I was in. I closed the curtain and backed away. I didn't sleep much that night. Every little creak in the house made me paranoid. I kept checking on the cat, making sure all the doors were locked and that no windows were open. The next day, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Maybe it was a hunter or a local taking a walk. I almost forgot about it. But the next night, something worse happened. I heard Momo hissing downstairs. When I went down, I found her staring toward the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. Her tail was puffed, and she wouldn't stop growling. The porch light was off, so I couldn't see much until a flash of lightning lit up the yard, and I saw a face. There was someone crouching at the glass door. I only saw him for a split second before darkness returned. He was staring directly in. I didn't scream, I just ran. I grabbed my phone, locked myself in the bathroom, and called the police. They arrived about 15 minutes later, but of course, no one was there. No footprints, no sign of forced entry. Nothing. I left the house the next morning. When the homeowners returned, I didn't mention anything. But a week later, the woman texted me something that made my blood run cold. "Hey, do you know who left this in the upstairs guest room closet? We found a hoodie and some empty food wrappers. Did you have a friend over?" I never used the guest room, and I never house sat again.